Hello ladies and gents, it's Hagbard Celine here on another beautiful afternoon, and today we're going to be discussing the new Fnords. I fear that this will not be a popular video due to the esoteric nature of this non-word, and perhaps some of my analysis therein. However, to catch people up and define the term in short, Fnord is a word coined in 1965 by Carrie Thornley and Greg Hill in the Principia Discordia. It entered the popular culture after appearing in the Illuminatus trilogy, a satirical and parody conspiracy fiction novel by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson. In these novels, the interjection Fnord is given hypnotic power over the unenlightened, and children in grade school are taught to be unable to consciously see the word Fnord. For the rest of their lives, every appearance of the word subconsciously generates a feeling of uneasiness and confusion, and prevents rational consideration of the subject. Now, when this term was thought up in mainstream usage, the authors lived in an environment wherein the narrative was firmly in control of the right. As we in America would define it, Canadians and Euros feel free to argue the polemics in the comments section. And this continued to be observably true through the Clinton and Bush years. Yes, both. Though admittedly in the latter half of Bush career, it was clear that the narrative was in for a rapid shift. Indeed, rapid it was with the Hope and Change campaign, and we can now see what the narrative is. In my mind, with this shift comes the new Fnords. This is not to say that we throw out the old Fnords. An example, the 1984-esque manner in which the government tags bills and movements should always be noted, as I've seen no sign that this habit is going to change. Thus, the Internet Freedom Act, passed even recently, remains a Fnord. Much of the old rights buzzwords also remain Fnords, and we all know them by rote. Now, as example, I'm going to list a few, but not all, of what I consider the new Fnords. They're simple to recognize for all of those watching. Diversity, racism, sexism, right-wing, nationalist, colonialist, slavery, capitalism. Now, I have no doubt that as the age of the observer went down, the disconcern over the words and their connotations went up, because these are the new Fnords, at least a brief example of them. Unlike in Rob's time, the schools and universities are not generally teaching classical nationalism and exceptionalism that he was concerned with in his time. That fade-out happened in my generation, as those teachers died or retired, leaving the minority holding these views as we see today. I myself was on the cusp, my latter education, high school and beyond, being focused primarily on why the United States was essentially worthy of nothing but scorn, and white Americans doubly so. Though I can recall one teacher in particular in the 8th grade, wherein we pointedly read books only by non-white authors. Of course, at the time I thought nothing of it. I was more interested in when I could snag time alone with my girlfriend. But in retrospect, that was the first I came into contact with this new set of Fnords. And boy, were they drilled home over the course of the next few years of my continued education. And only recently have I come to recognize that these are the new trigger words that are meant to elicit all of the emotional response necessary to do whatever it is that has been decided to be the new greater good. I would assume that this was an isolated experience, if not for the observable evidence to the contrary, at large, and the dozens of specific examples of the installation of the new Fnords. This is being done at an institutional level, and it's being taught in the schools at increasingly young ages, which is exactly what the complaint from Robert Anton Wilson was. As we all know, it is exceedingly simple to brainwash a child. When I saw the Fnords, all I wanted to do was tear them down and get to the truth and see reality beyond the confines of a narrative that's being fed to me. It appears, however, that power is power. Left and right be damned, once in power, out come the Fnords. That's it for me today, ladies and gents. I hope you've enjoyed this analysis on an esoteric word that most people probably haven't seen in mainstream usage. I thank you for joining me. Stay safe, good luck, and goodbye.